Today is Friday, January 29th, 2021. We pay tribute on Roland Martin Unfiltered to the iconic, the legend, the queen, and now ancestor, Cicely Tyson, who passed away yesterday afternoon at the age of 96. Tributes have been pouring in all around the world. We'll show you those from Oprah Winfrey, Tyler Perry. On this show, be joined by Maxine Waters, B.B. Winan, Janetta Cole, also Kim Whitley, Tiffany Lofton, so many others, Glenn Turman. Folks, a lot of people in Hollywood, civil rights activists and others, talking about the amazing Cicely Tyson and what her life meant. We'll also talk with the official photographer for the Miles Davis family as well, her former husband. So, folks, it is going to be an amazing remembrance over the next 2 hours as we look back on the life and legacy and celebrate the wonderful life of the great Cicely Tyson right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered. It's time to bring the funk. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the biz, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's Uncle Roro, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now. Martin!
Folks, Cicely Tyson, an amazing actress. She passed away yesterday at the age of 96. So many people have been sharing their thoughts about her, what she meant to so many of us all across the world. The tributes have been significant. So many people just shocked in mourning as they tell their stories, their personal recollections about her. What she meant to them, what she meant to our community. First up, someone who knew her very well, close friend of hers, is the Congresswoman from California, Maxine Waters. She joins us right now. Congresswoman Waters, always glad to have you on Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Thank you. Delighted to be with you, and thank you for inviting me.
Last night, when we got the news during our show that Cicely Tyson had passed away, and we did it about 2-hour tribute last night. It was fitting, of course, to do another 2 hours again today. When did you first meet her? And just share your thoughts about your longtime friend, Cicely Tyson.
Well, thank you. Thank you so very much. I was, trying to reflect on the time, and I think it was about 1973. It was between 1973 and 1976 before I was elected to the California State Assembly. And I had a small public relations firm. And so I had the honor of being one of the public relations persons on Sounder, the movie Sounder, that, is such a historical movie, and her acting was so fantastic, and it is recorded in the histories of one of the finest movies that she ever made. And so it was about that time that I helped to promote Sounder, that I met her. And then, as it turned out, we ended up seeing each other very often because we attended the same beauty shop, and we had the same hairdresser. And so in addition to that, because she was in entertainment, and she was involved in community. I was involved in the community even before ever getting elected to office. And so we were together on many, many projects and many sets on till long after I was elected to the Congress of the United States. And of course, we have a mutual friend, Jackie Jackson, the wife of Reverend Jesse Jackson. And so she would visit Jackie, and she would stay at Jackie's home for weeks at a time. And of course, everybody was delighted to have her, at Jackie's. And when we visited, we had an opportunity to sit with Jackie and with Cicely and just, talk to each other as women do from time to time. But of course, she was in all of the big events, at all of the big events outside of entertainment. I can remember when she showed up at Aretha Franklin's funeral, and she had on a hat that stopped the show. But she was a high fashion woman. She was a very creative woman, and all of her styles were developed by her, from the hair to the clothing that she wore. She put a lot of time into the design, and she was always impeccable. She was a very dignified woman, and she took her craft seriously. She spent a lot of time studying and, getting ready for the parts that she was going to play. But I guess what I most liked about her was she was of a quiet nature. And she was, very well grounded in taking care of herself. And she lived until she was 96. And as Jackie Jackson reminded me just a few days ago, that she didn't eat processed food or cooked food. She ate raw food. And even when she visited with Jackie and stayed for weeks, she only had fresh food, fresh vegetables, never any food that was cooked or processed. And so that's a lesson for all of us. If we could ever have that kind of discipline, maybe we could live as long. And so she was a very special human being, extraordinarily talented. And of course, she is recorded in history as one of the finest actresses that ever lived. And so I've spent many hours. I sent you a couple of pictures with me and Cicely and some of our other friends. I hope you get a chance to show them sometime this evening. But she's gone, and she's going to be missed. But she's impacted and affected our lives in so many people in so many ways. And so I'm glad that you allowed me to be a part of this very special presentation that you're doing all about her. And thank you for doing what you're doing. I didn't know that you had taken up a couple of hours yesterday, and now you've given more time to this legend. And I'm so appreciative for it, because oftentimes we have very significant African Americans who sacrifice, who give time, who demonstrate their love for us and our culture. And they don't get this kind of attention. And I thank you for doing it.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I launched this show. Even when I was on TV1, we did the exact same thing. And so when they canceled that show, I said, look, we've got to cover all facets of the Black community. And you're right, when we lose our legends, they get short shrift on other networks. Unfortunately, today we lost the great basketball legend, John Chaney, on Wednesday. Henry Hank Aaron was buried as well. And so same thing. And so we did our tribute to him. And, last year, Chadwick Boseman, in fact, we did a 3-hour tribute to him, and Reverend Joseph Lowry and C.T. Vivian and Bill Withers. And these things are important even now, Congresswoman, in the age of COVID, because we don't have the normal homegoing services that we normally have. We don't see those now. And so the ability for all of us to be able to grieve together and also share and show our appreciation is critically important.
Well, I always feel so terrible when my friends pass and there are no services for them because of COVID-19. And, I've come to learn that saying goodbye to your friends, giving them these homegoing services that we know so well, are important parts of our lives. And it's so Africanist that we do this. And so I'm missing saying goodbye in the fashion that our culture is accustomed to. But I thank you because you give me an opportunity and others an opportunity to say goodbye in a bit of a different way, but an important way. Thank you so very much.
Well, Congresswoman Waters, we certainly appreciate that so very much. And we're going to do all we can to, again, educate a whole new generation about folks like the great Cicely Tyson.
Yes, thank you so very much.
All right, thank you so very much. Folks, 10 years ago, we were celebrating the opening of the MLK Memorial. And guess who joined us on set? Joe Madison and I was hosting the show. Joe Madison was with me. The great Cicely Tyson stopped by to share her thoughts about Dr. King. And here is that presentation. All right, folks. So let me be real clear. Control room, I need y'all to get it together. I need you to get it together. All right? All right, folks. We've been talking about, again, Cicely Tyson, and I'm going to do this for here. I'm going to go ahead and share that with folks because when I say it matters how we celebrate our legends, it does. When I look at these networks out there, I'm seeing the same thing. They're talking about the U.S. Capitol. They're talking about what's going on. They're talking about, the Republicans. But when you lose a legend like Cicely Tyson, you pay homage, you pay tribute to them. That is what's important. So here again is that conversation we had with Cicely Tyson at the MLK Memorial.
The exact same reaction. I always get tears watching that video because the entire, of course, song, they play all the verses. It's a compilation of all these photos and the historic images that led us to this very point.
And your tears are the same tears that James Weldon Johnson had when he finished writing Lift Every Voice. He broke down in tears standing there in Jacksonville, Florida, looking out over the... And that's
Well,
right.
every time I see that, I love it.
That's right.
That was what did it.
That's why
Yes.
it's powerful.
Well,
It's powerful.
I have that on my iPod, and sometimes when stuff get a little rough, I'll actually watch that just to remind yourselves. Folks,
Yes.
we are joined by a very special guest, a phenomenal woman, a gorgeous woman. Welcome to our TV One set, Cicely Tyson.
Thank you, Roland and Joe.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm here.
That's always a good thing.
That's all I need to know. Listen,
Your
the
perspective.
other night
Yes.
when we were celebrating Reverend Lowry, Vernon Jordan.
His 90th birthday in Atlanta last Sunday.
That's right. Vernon Jordan, when it was his turn to speak, said, as a lawyer, I have to give you advice. When you wake up in the morning without pain, you're dead.
That's a good point. Ms. Tyson, I got to ask you, this monument, this dedication, your reflections on Dr. King and this amazing movement.
Very difficult to define, primarily because it was so monumental. I look at the fact that this was scheduled initially on an earlier date, and Irene dispelled it. I have yet to feel comfortable about what happened when the following day was such a glorious day like today. And my mother had a saying about things like this: man appoints, but God disappoints. And my feelings are that that was not Dr. Martin Luther King. This is closer to being him. He wasn't a man about fanfare. He was a man about doing. And so I'm comfortable about being here because I think that this was closer to who he was than that might have been.
Can I ask the question, your visceral reaction when you actually saw the monument?
I haven't seen it yet.
You have not
No,
seen
I
it?
have not seen it yet.
So this will be your first
This
time
will
actually
be,
laying eyes
and
on
I'm
it.
sure it will render me breathless.
He gave voice to women like my mother, who guarded her children fiercely.
When you think about
Never told her daughters
this
to do something
generation,
they could not do.
and folks know Dr. King through newsreels, through books and things of that nature, Do you think people really understand the measure of this man as opposed to a few speeches?
I doubt very seriously that anyone will ever understand the depth and the measure of the man. I think for the future generation, for the younger generation, it is important, the monument, because they have something that's tangible aside from being taught who he was, reading about who he was, hearing about who he was. They can come and look at this statue and form a closer reality to the man. So, in that respect, I think it's very important.
Got to ask a final question.
Yes.
The movie King.
Yes.
You played Mrs. Coretta Scott
Yes,
King.
I did.
Look, we're talking about Dr. King, but please share a few words about the woman who stood by his side and kept his legacy alive.
Well,
That made the King holiday a reality.
certainly she was very important to me and very generous with her time. I moved in with the family just so that I could be there, feel them, smell them, and taste them. And I went to say Mountaintop the other after. Yes.
Samuel L. Jackson's playing
Yes.
MLK on Broadway.
Yes, with Angela Bassett. And he brought a carnation out, and he proceeded to talk about that carnation. One of the most moving experiences that I had with Coretta was the fact that he called her the day before, and he said, "I sent you some flowers." And she said, "I have not received them." Then there was a knock on the door, and she said, "Wait, this may be them." And surely enough, it was. And she looked at them and she said to him, "They're not real flowers, they're fake flowers." He said, "I wanted you to have something that would last." And she pointed them out to me. She had them in a credenza glass, a bowl of red carnations. Okay. And to me, I remember that about her and he, the last moments that they had together.
Amazing. Cicely Tyson, always a pleasure. Thank you so very much for being with us.
Thank you, Roland.
Thanks a
Thank
bunch.
you. Good to
Folks,
see you.
We'll have to
when we
have
come
the
back,
cameras on you
the
when
King
you
family
see it.
speaks. Stay with us. You're watching TV1's live special coverage of the Martin Luther King National Memorial Dedication. That was the first time I met Cicely Tyson. We met several other times, but that was certainly an amazing, amazing day 10 years ago at the unveiling of the MLK Memorial on the Mall in Washington. Folks, Glenn Turman is another one of our legends, and he joins us right now to share his thoughts and reflections on the great Cicely Tyson. Glenn, how you doing, brother?
Oh, how you doing, bro?
Man, it's been a difficult day for a lot of people. I've reached out to a bunch of different people, and folks are still processing. They're still grieving. She worked up until the end. She was on her book tour. It's one of those things that when someone passes away and that they've been sick or ill, and we sort of have an opportunity to prepare for that. But for Cicely Tyson, it was, as they say, she died with her boots on, or Susan Taylor would say, she died with her high heels on.
Yeah, she sure did. She did. She sure did. She died sort of like she lived, doing. She wasn't complacent. She was, it's amazing that she had just finished her autobiography, her memoirs. So she was in the process of completing that. She was a lady that was about getting it done, doing, And I always say, people say, "Well, I'm trying to do this, I'm going to try." And I said, trying is trying and doing is doing. They're two completely different things. And that's a philosophy I believe she lived by.
When we think back to just all of these amazing roles and the fact that the roles she refused to take, she made it clear she would not play a prostitute. She would not play a maid. She turned down lots of different roles, and because she made it clear, no. There's a standard that I have that I simply will not go below.
Yeah. Yes, I had the opportunity to work with her on more than one occasion. The latest was on How to Get Away with Murder, which we shared the screen with the wonderful Viola Davis in that production. And we had so much fun reminiscing because we hadn't worked prior to that in over 30 years, having done The Ribbonizer with James Earl Jones and Lou Gossett, and taken from the stage play, the Joseph Walker play. So it had been quite some time since we had worked together. And so we went down memory lane, and the names that came up. And she played iconic roles in those productions that we did. A Hero Ain't Nothing But a Sandwich, Sounder, as we all know. But A Hero Ain't Nothing But a Sandwich was another production that we were in together. So in going down memory lane, we started talking about people that we had been in our path. And one of the great names that came up was a woman by the name of Bonnet Carroll. And Bonnet Carroll was a mentor of myself as well as Cicely. And if you notice how I say her name, Cicely. In this production that we were doing, that Bonnet Carroll was directing us in, this is where I first met her, Cicely. And she said, this is Glenn. Glenn, this is Cicely Tyson. I said, hello, Cicely. She said, no, Cicely. So she got me straight right from the beginning. There was no doubt in her, the way one was to refer to her. Can you hear me?
Yeah. No, you're fine. Keep going. No, we're good. Keep going.
And so that we went on to do a production that we took to, a stage production this was, that we took to Forest Hills, Illinois, to do Desire Under the Elms. And if you know anything about that play, it's a young man who pursues his father's new bride. Myself, Cicely, and Roscoe Lee Brown, who played the father. And I always tease her, Cicely, because I got to kiss her in this production. She was a leading lady in this. And so every time I see her, I say, I thank Bonetta for putting me in that production. I said, because I got to kiss the beautiful, the one and only Cicely Tyson. And she'll smack me, and tease me about that, and reminiscing, And so we had a great time together over the years, because in that one I played her lover, and then in Ribbonizer I played her son, And so we ran the gamut, and that forged a wonderful, wonderful friendship. And so yesterday when I found out, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I was devastated, and still am.
I talked to Maxwell yesterday. I talked to so many others as well. And when folks would approach Cicely, they would do so with such reverence. They would do so, or Susan Taylor said, she was so delicate. She was like a delicate flower. Just how folks just revered her.
Yeah. She was a toughie. She was delicate in approach, but she was a toughie. She don't get it twisted. She was, she knew how to handle herself. And there were scenes in that play that I was like, whoa, there's quite a woman here. So and she knew how to handle herself. But yes, I don't believe that it was a perception, of you knew you were in the presence of someone who who required certain things, who required that you present certain elements of yourself. You know, she was a lady, so she required the best of your gentleman qualities. You know, you wanted to present your best. So that's really what it was. She was drawing out of you certain delicacies that you may have dusted off or put away somewhere. You know, you had to dust them off and bring them back out. You know, she required the best of people because she gave you her best.
The Out of all these iconic roles, some well known, others not well known. I think about her playing Coretta Scott King in the television series King. In fact, just the other day, last night, Bernice King actually posted several photos with her and Coretta Scott King. Out of all these roles, what stands out for you? Danny Glover said yesterday that scene in Sounder. He said he just remembered that particular scene. But for you, what stands out?
Well, you know, the River Niger, her performance in the River Niger was, you know, had me mesmerized. You know, she just, you know, I'm a young actor in the throngs of she and James Earl Jones, you know, playing my mother and father. And to watch the two of them go back and forth in this Broadway production that is now being filmed, it was magical. You know, I was just like a fly on the wall watching all of this, you know, mastership of craft. You know, so I think that's probably the biggest one for me, working with her and James Earl in the River Niger.
It's always tough when we lose someone people greatly respected. But the value of the work really means that they live forever. Mm-hmm. And that was one of the things that when Chadwick Boseman and I were texting, this was April last year. He had been ill, but people were commenting on his weight loss. Mm-hmm. And he said to me, and I didn't reveal this until after he died, but he said in the text, I want them to see the role and not see me. Mm-hmm. He said, that is the job of an actor.
Right.
Where it's not about me, it's about the role.
Right.
And people remember the role and what you did with it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what will always be when it comes to Cicely Tyson.
Well, for sure, for sure. You know, she was a craftsman, and that's the obligation of the craft. You know, to disappear in the role, and it's why one must be so selective. You know, selectivity is a part of the craft, as important as anything else. You know, what roles you select to do. You know, to represent. What roles will you be able to disappear in and bring a certain, you know, the essence of that character to the forefront for your viewing audience? And she was a master at that, absolute master.
She said, make clear, she was never going to retire, and she didn't. Has she caused you to say, damn, Cicely, slow down. You out here working at 92 and 93, 94. You making the rest of us look bad.
Right. She was. And full of mischief and fun. You know, we were at the rap party together for How to Get Away with Murder. And, we sat together for a large part of the party, and just observing the younger generation, so to speak, really just going at it, and just having a ball, just referring to people, and she being mischievous, talking about who was wearing what and so on and so forth. And look at her, is she covering up anything? She got nothing left to cover up. She had... so it's right away. It's those kinds of moments that being a friend of hers is just priceless, and I'll miss that. Of course, I'll miss the work and the work that she and I have done together, and the work that I look forward to doing more of with her. But mostly, I miss the light and the twinkle in her eyes. When we'd meet again. That in '94 she still knew me. She still recognized me just as clear, and knew things and could tell me things. Oh, man, dig this.
Mm-hmm.
So we're doing How to Get Away with Murder, and like I said, we go way back. And a mutual friend was a woman by the name of Vanette Carroll, who was my high school teacher in my senior year at the High School of Performing Arts, and who was a dear friend and mentor to Cicely. And like I said, we worked together. She brought us together to do the play, Desire Under the Elms. And we were talking lovingly about Cicely. So finally, Cicely says to me, well, yes, she says, your mother, speaking of my mother, who's been gone since I was 17, I lost her while I was in high school, while Vanette Carroll was my high school teacher. And Cicely says, out of the clear blue, your mother made Vanette promise to look after you. And I said, what? She says, oh yeah, you didn't know that? I said, wait, you're talking about my mother. Now I'm 74 years old. I'll be 74 in 2 weeks. I said, wait a minute, Cicely, what are you saying? My mother, how? She says, yes, well, I knew your mother. I said, yeah, I think I remember when you guys met, but and she says, yeah, well, she made Vanette promise to look after you after she passed away. She knew, of course, that she was passing, and she made Vanette promise. And indeed, Vanette had brought me to California after I graduated high school to do a play, and that play kept me in California, and from there, my career went to where it is now. This lady is majorly responsible for that move. But that Cicely recalled that.
Wow.
I mean, that's 60 years ago. That's eons ago.
Mm-hmm.
And she just pulled that out of the hat like it was yesterday and laid that on me. And I couldn't do the rest of the work for the show that I was preparing to do because it just threw me so off. I had to go take a minute, and regroup so that I could get back into character. But for her to have that sensibility and to remember that from all those years ago, and to lay that at my feet, and I haven't talked to anyone who literally knew my mother, who's still alive in, I can't remember how long. So for when she passed, Cicely, yesterday, another piece of the puzzle of my life has gone to that place where ancestors go, you know. And so that just knocked me out. And I will miss that woman beyond measure because of that much a piece of me went with her. Am I making myself clear?
Yes, sir. Glenn Turman, I appreciate you sharing your thoughts, your reflections about the great Cicely Tyson. She was indeed a crown jewel for so many of us.
Amen.
Take care, my brother. Take care. Glenn talked about him being hit hard by this. Tyler Perry posted yesterday on Facebook that he had this overwhelming desire to watch the autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman. Then all of a sudden, and he did, and he said 12 minutes into watching the movie, he gets the phone call from Oprah Winfrey telling him that Cicely Tyson had passed away. This was the video that Tyler Perry posted yesterday on social media, sharing his thoughts and reflections and thinking back to the woman who was the godmother of his son.
What's wrong with you?
Something. And beautiful. So you gotta be the rededication of the stages.
That's no good.
That's no good. So strong. So strong.
And God bless you all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
This was something that was posted on social media. If you want to understand the power of black power, let me read this for you. Everyone's got a tale of Tyler Perry's generosity, but Cicely Tyson might just have them beat. The two icons of black Hollywood have been friendly since her role in 2005's Diary of a Mad Black Woman. And in the years since, they built a friendship spanning 6 films. Quote, when he heard how little I was paid for Sounder in the autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman, his mouth fell open, she writes. From then on, he decided to double and sometimes even triple or quadruple my asking price for any role he requested that I play. He's making her rich in love too. Tyson is godmother to Perry's son, Amon. Quote, you should see that child and me down on the carpet together doing handstands with a nervous Tyler standing by to be sure I don't crack my neck, she writes. What a joy. Wow, that's a hell of a story right there. I was texting Tyler Perry last night, talking about that and a few other things, and just about how amazing she was. Alderman Dorothy Tillman, longtime alderman in Chicago, also civil rights activist. She joins us right now. Dorothy, always glad to see you. Cicely Tyson, there's a whole generation of sisters who really looked up and respected this woman for what she represented on the screen, big and small.
You know, I think that Ms. Tyson is the type of lady that we should have our children to look at and they need to read her book that she just had out, but they need to understand that this woman was unapologetically black. I never heard her say woman of color or anything like that. When I was looking through her book and really studying Miss Tyson, I've looked up to her for a long time because she was very involved in the Black community, in the civil rights movement, and anything that was Black. She said that something that stuck with me, Roland. She said that she decided to use her platform to make sure that she used it for us, for Black people. And watching her and listening at how she got started with Black film and Black television, Ebony Magazine, Jet, all of those things let you know how important it is to have Black media, to have Black theater, to be able to tell our story. She was saying that one of the reporters said to her, I was looking at one of the interviews she had done, and she said one of the reporters said that when he was looking at sound of the young man that played her son, called his father daddy, and he was shocked that a Black child would call their father daddy. And she also talked about the young lady who said she was looking at one of the love scenes and she was surprised that Black people made love and was loving like that. I think that Cicely Tyson is the essence of what a Black woman is and what they stand for. I don't know whether you played it or not, Roland, but she did Sojourner Truth, Ain't I a Woman. You remember that? Ain't I a Woman?
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to play it tomorrow on my show. But Cicely Tyson let us all know, Roland, and you know how important it is, that we must maintain Black theater. We must maintain Black television and media and outlet to bring up our next Cicely Tyson. And what I love about her, she was unapologetically Black, a Black woman who enjoyed being who she was. And I never heard her say woman of color, because she understood when she was talking about the things that we went through as women, things that she even went through. There's nobody that can express that but us. But also it was a Black film company, Roland, which is very important, that got her started in her to do her first movie. And then you talk about Tyler Perry, another Black film company that just embraced her and just loved her. And when you said that he tripled her salary, that lets you know how important places like the Harold Washington Cultural Center, any of our theaters around the country, is important. And that young girls need to understand that it's all right to be a young lady. It's all right to look up to someone like Cicely Tyson. Always a lady, always with such grace as she fought. I've loved Cicely Tyson. In fact, I went in labor on the night Jane Pittman came out. I was watching Jane Pittman, and for my third child, this is the truth. My third child, I'm sitting there and I was in labor. I kept feeling these pin pains, but I wanted to. She was talking about that tree, and if this tree could talk, and I was in so much pain, and I know I needed to go to the hospital. But I thought that if I go to the hospital, I won't get a chance to finish the movie. So I got to see almost all of it, but there was Jane Pittman I was watching when I went in labor with my third child, Jamil. But I love Cicely. She epitomized what Black women have always historically been in this country or in the whole diaspora. But one thing, she never left her faith. I think faith is very important because our children and a lot of our people don't understand what sustained us, how our God sustained us. It was God that sustained her. She was still at the same church that her mother carried her to. That says a lot. And I don't think we talk enough, Roland, about our faith and how important it is to have our children in a church, to really talk about how important, in spite of what you're going through, you can make it. Because now, you have children thinking that it's all over. I mean, if I don't have it easy, I can't make it. Look what she did. Look where she came from. And those are the type of women that when I was growing up, that I grew up with, that you made it with Mrs. Parks, who helped shape my view, Miss Carr, Miss Robinson, and all those women in Montgomery at the MIA office, and my grandmother, they told us that whatever it is, we could do it. We didn't, I'm sure you grew up like that too. It was unheard of what you can't do.
Right.
You can do whatever you can make it. And she did that. But she had her God. People need to understand that every time she spoke, she said it's because she always mentioned her faith and her God and her mother, family, and spirit. And if your spirit is right and you know God and you don't let nothing hold you down, you can make it. In the spirit, you think about Mary Cloud Bethune, you think about Ida B. Wells, you think about all of these black women. You mentioned Mrs. King, how strong she was, how she had to really hold up Dr. King and being a strong woman like she was. I mean, it's really, she's gone to the ancestors. We called them angels once we got here, but it's our ancestors. But to be here for 96 years and to know that her God exists, but to be a lady, to carry on like a lady. One thing she said that was very, very, very striking to me, Roland. She said she didn't want to do anything to make her race or black women look bad. Now, we were raised like that. We got to go back there, don't you think so?
It's called standards, and it's called setting a tone. I think that's what's the most important thing. And so hopefully folks who did not know this much about her, and now that her book is out, they will understand why she took that position. Dorothy Tillman. Yep.
This required reading. I'm going to buy some for all of the young ladies in my family and other young ladies and young men. That book is required reading because when you think that you're down and out, you're not down and out.
Yep.
Because you God. Like I told my children, I always told them, you're never alone. You reach down and you got God. Her faith sustained her. And it's very important as black people and as black women that we know that and that we pray for our children like her mother prayed for her. And we tell them Cicely Tyson is the woman that she is and was, the lady that she is and was because of her faith and God and her love for her people. I mean, that's kind of important. We can talk all the other stuff, but I always heard her talk about the black woman, and I watched Gayle King interview with her. It was a great interview. And it was really interesting to watch Gayle King and then watch Kelly, whatever. It was two different things because Gayle kind of understood this whole spiritual thing. Black women are, black people are very spiritual anyway. But when we know we can stay with God, God will lead us. This lady was very spiritual. She talks about her mother. And she talks about the Spirit of God. And she said it was God that kept her, but she was a lady. She was a lady.
Dorothy Tillman, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
All right. Folks, I reached out to B.B. Winans today and very emotional about the loss of Cicely Tyson. And he said, there's no way in the world I could even go live because I would probably break down crying. So B.B. sent this video for us for our tribute to Cicely Tyson. Please watch.
When your friends turn away and you're all alone, so all alone, and tell me what do you give when you've given your all? stand.
An incredible video B.B. Winan sent me earlier today that he wanted us to share. In 2018, Cicely Tyson was honored with an honorary Oscar. At that ceremony, all of the honorees wrote their acceptance speeches, except Cicely Tyson.
Thank you. Thank you. 45 years ago, I was offered a movie entitled Sounder. It was the first major movie that I would have done in my career. On the way to the airport to fly out here, I stopped by a very close and long time dear friend's home to share the news with him. I said, I'm going out to Hollywood to do my first big movie. He looked at me and he said, and you're going to be nominated for an Academy Award. I laughed at him. And I said, and if I am, you will fly out and you will be my escort. I was nominated, and he flew out to be my escort. The event was held on his birthday. When I received a call from my agent telling me that he had some good news for me, I assumed that it was going to be that I was to receive an Emmy Award for a segment that I had done on how to get away with murder. I had been nominated 4 times, and so I said, well, I guess they decided they finally are going to give me one this time. So he said, Robert said, but he wants to tell you himself. I said, he who? The president of the Academy. What Academy? I don't know what he's talking about. He said, his name is Mr. Bailey, and I will put him on. And so Mr. Bailey got on the phone, introduced himself, and said, Cicely, it gives me great joy to tell you that yesterday the Board of Governors, all 54 or 50 of them, decided to give you an honorary Oscar. Well, to tell you, I just went to water. I could not say a word, and I have to tell you, I don't recall ever receiving any information that sent me into such, I call it Niagara Falls, because I couldn't stop. And you can ask Mr. Bailey himself. He'll tell you, I couldn't say a word. All I did was cry. I cried and cried and cried. I said nothing. I don't think I said thank you. Mr. Bailey, where are you? Thank you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance, but I could not. In any case, I returned to New York, and I went to my friend's home to share this news. He wasn't there. And so I called, and I called several times. It's very unlike him to receive a call from me and not respond immediately. And so finally I decided, oh, never mind, I'm going to tell you the story. And I reminded him of what he said to me 45 years ago. I said, I want to share something with you. This time, I have it. And this time, I am asking you to repeat your performance and escort me to California to accept this treasure. Not realizing that he was ill and that he was in the hospital and that he never got my message or my invitation for him to escort me to accept this incredible honor. His name was Arthur Mitchell, and he passed 2 days after that. I know, however, Arthur, wherever you are, that this was what you were promising me. And I want to thank you. I want to thank the members of the Academy, the governors, every single one of you who have made it a point to be here, to let me know how much you have supported me all these years. I could not be here if it were not for you. If you had not stood beside me, around me, under me, and made me feel. You know, sometimes when you plan to do something, you hope that it's going to turn out the way you want it to. It doesn't always do that. And so it just lets me know that you have to have a certain amount of faith and trust and belief in what you do. Quincy said that I said over and over again that I am led by divine guidance. It's when I go against it that I get myself into trouble. That's true. Oprah, thank you. I know what it took for you to get here. Whoopi Goldberg, wherever you are, I am and will be eternally grateful to you. Mom, I know you didn't want me to do this, but I did. And here it is. And I know that for the longest time, I wanted to hear something positive from her. It took her a long time. And when I did, Jane Pittman, I called her up the next day when I got the recognition, and I said to her, well, she said, well, what? I said, you better tell me something. And she said, I am so proud of you. And I think that if I had not heard those words from her, none of this would make a difference to me. None of it. Above all, I hope, next month on December 19th, I'm going to be 94 years old. And I don't know that I would cherish a better gift than this. This is the culmination of all those years of have and have-nots. And God bless you all. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
An amazing speech from Cicely Tyson. Joining us right now is actress and comedian Phyllis Siobhan Stickney. Phyllis, welcome to Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Thank you so much, Roland. Thank you for doing this and for having me as a part of this.
Just your thoughts about the great Cicely Tyson.
Oh, wow. She was an inspiration for all of us that are pursuing this career or pursuing this life path as actors or storytellers. For me, being one of those richly melanated sisters from East Side, West Side, before I ever even thought about pursuing or traveling on this path, for me, it was, I'm sure anyone and everyone that she touched their lives. I wrote something on Instagram. I posted something today because I was fortunate enough to have her know that I existed. I remember at a homegoing for Graham Ruby D, who I think was the first person that actually introduced me to the great and wonderful Cicely Tyson, that it's not necessarily who you know, but who knows you. I was always, of course, moved by her performances. She was a consummate artist, a consummate actress. But because she was a little brown girl, she was a little chocolate girl, she particularly caught my eye. I just regretted that I didn't push harder to spend personal time with her. The Sugar Bar was a place that she liked and I liked as well. So on several occasions, we bumped into each other there. I just remember the last thing that she said to me when I was grappling with what to do with my hair. I'd cut my locks and I was wearing a hat. So you didn't really know me if you were looking for the locks, but I was trying to get Mother's attention. I was trying to get the great Cicely's attention. She was seated at in the Sugar Bar, surrounded by love and friends. And she didn't recognize me as me because I had on a hat. But when I finally got her attention, I said, "It's me, Phyllis Siobhan Stickney." She said, "We need to see you. Get back on that stage." And made space for me to come and sit. I am hopeful that I will continue with the work that she inspired me to do, that I will continue to make her proud as she made her mother proud. We've lost an amazing energy. The fact that she was 90, anything, that she was 70, that she was anything, of the numbers that she'd been here. I'm particularly saddened that I don't get to see her again in the flesh, and tell her that I made it back. I made it back. I'm taping Shameless in a couple of days, and returning to Milwaukee Rep in a little bit, or actually going. So I heard you is how I'm feeling today. I heard her, I felt her, I feel her, and I want to continue to be inspired by her. And I hope we all are, but I know learning what Tyler Perry had done for her was just amazing to me. Hearing that speech once again as she accepted the award, and thinking that she didn't have to write it because she was living it, she was feeling it. I got a chance to see her, one of her last performances live on Broadway, Trip to Bountiful. My brother and I were there to attend a preview, and I just remember, again, her warmth and generosity every time we encountered each other. And I remember that special moment on live theater, watching her remember the lines, remembering her blocking. And then the special moment that I will always now even cherish is that I was there in one of those moments that only live theater can give us, when she was trying so hard. We had great seats, and we could see Miss Tyson trying to get the prop. We knew it was something that she was getting, but she held her character. She held her. And it was only to that very last moment when stage management and everyone realized that there was going to be a moment that she needed a little help. Mm-hmm. And in that moment, I saw all that she is and was. She wasn't a diva. There are others that I know that have less experience, less ability, that would have taken that as a moment to grandstand, but not the great, not the amazing, not the incomparable Cicely Tyson. She took her moment like everyone else. They came to help her, and she apologized to the other actors for that moment, even that moment. I just will always remember her regal manner, her humanness, her tenderness, and the moment in The Women of Brewster Place that she taught me so much. If you go back to that moment when she is talking to her daughter, played by Robin Givens, and there was a couple of takes that had happened, but I saw Miss Tyson decide, this is the take. So whenever I see that scene and I watch her get that head and go and bring Robin back into that moment, like, oh no, you can't escape, you can't run, not breaking character, not ever losing anything. I miss her now, and I'm just grateful that I was able to be in her presence, and that she left a great body of work for us, for me and others to study. And I thank you for the opportunity to speak her name and to give this tribute to her. I remember her for being the first chocolate woman that I ever saw on television with natural hair. I remember her always never knowing whether it was gray or not gray. And when I was trying to decide, shall I show silver or not, that was the person that I asked. I think that there'll be no other like Cicely Tyson.
The one and only. The one and only. There will only be one. Phyllis Siobhan Stickling, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Folks, joining us now is another legend, the great Richard Roundtree. Richard, welcome to Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Roland.
Yes, sir.
Roland. what an honor to even say anything about this giant. I had the pleasure a few times to be in her presence. I've never worked with her, but my colleagues, everyone from Glenn Turman to Robert Hooks, I mean, they all had the special experience of working with her. I use the word blessed to have been in her presence a couple of times, but grace, truth, as you said, no one like her. No one like her. No one will ever be like her. And I'm privileged to even speak about her. Thank you, Roland.
The thing that is interesting, I said this yesterday, the way actors approach you with reverence, and to hear you describing essentially being in her presence, same thing, that reverence for someone who so many looked up to.
I can't even speak to that, Roland. I mean, come on. We're talking about Cicely Tyson. Come on now. I mean, I was working with Loretta Devine on the show I'm doing now, Family Reunion, and it was announced that Cicely had passed, and it was, I can't describe the moment. The whole cast was in total shock. Everyone was speechless. It struck us in such a deep reverence for this woman. That's not true. We could not lose her till she was 110.
Right.
And what? Shockwaves throughout this entire industry.
Last question for you. All the roles she played, what struck you the most? What was that one quintessential Cicely Tyson role that stands out for you?
Well, obviously Roots, but I'm trying to think of the name of it. Having a senior moment here. The one with Glenn.
River Niger.
Yes. Yeah. There's so many, but Roots, because I was in it, and I can say that I didn't work with her personally, but I was in something that she was in. You know, that's when I said truth. Can I give you a little story?
Yeah, go ahead.
I appeared on Dinah Shore show with her, and I had the audacity to sing. And I finished the song, and I went back to the couch doing the commercial, right? And she looked at me. She said, "You got a lot of nerve." Truth. She spoke truth in everything she did. She was unfiltered truth. And that is a moment I will never, ever forget.
She didn't want to hear you sing.
No. Come on.
Oh, that is funny.
You got a lot of nerve.
I know you had to just crack up laughing.
No, I was hurt because I was crooning. I was crooning. And if Cicely Tyson would say something like that, oh my, I was crushed.
That is too funny. In that moment, I feel you. But you gotta admit now, Richard, that was funny as hell.
Again?
You gotta admit you're right. It's funny now, but yeah, you would not laugh then.
In retrospect, yeah. But she totally comes from truth. She's unfiltered. I mean, she will give you total honesty 900% of the time.
Richard Roundtree, that's why I wanted to call you and get your thoughts. My brother, it is always a pleasure. It is always a pleasure. And I am going to get out to L.A. very soon, and we are going to sit down, and we're going to do a one-on-one interview. You and I'm going to bring the cameras and everything, and we're just going to chop it up.
Roland, you know I'm from Missouri. That's a show-me state.
Hey, Doc, I see, that ain't a problem. Trust me, that's going to happen. And when I call, it's going to like, I'm calling. We coming.
Well, when I picked up the phone, looked at the phone, and said Roland Martin, I said, well, I only know one Roland Martin. It's just not a robocall.
Y'all, he literally said, this really you? I'm like, yeah, Richard, it's me. I said, we've been trying to call you for 24 hours. You ain't picking the phone up. So I had to call myself. My staff called. I said, clearly I got to call. I need everybody to understand. I was literally I called Richard while the Cicely Tyson video, the Oscar speech was playing. Because my staff said, hey, Richard ain't answering the phone. So I called while we were live on the air and said, Richard said, so we want to do this. I said, in about 10 minutes. And he said, good. So I'm glad you picked up.
Well, I appreciate you calling, man. And it was an honor for me to even speak about this lady.
Absolutely. Richard Roundtree, I appreciate it, my brother. Thanks a lot.
All right. Take care, Roland.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Janetta Cole, she joins us right now. She is, of course, she president emerita everything. And I'm going new school and seasoned saint. Also Tiffany Lofton. Tiffany, of course, is the youth and college director for the NAACP. Because I wanted to get a range of voices. Y'all, let me know when y'all have Tiffany on the line. But Dr. Cole, just speak and just share your thoughts about Cicely Tyson.
As I try to own that she's gone to glory, because I selfishly wanted her to be with us forever. The first thing I have to share with you, my dear brother Roland, is that while this woman of grace, this woman who had gravitas, was a sister friend, I could never call her anything but Miss Tyson. The way that she carried herself, the way she spoke, the way she simply was, demanded absolute respect and admiration. I am remembering the unusual joy that I and your alpha brother had with Miss Tyson. She invited us to the trip to Bountiful. Imagine on Broadway being the guests of Miss Tyson. JD and I were like school kids, just awed. And then we were invited backstage. But at a moment that we wanted to be all about Miss Tyson, she knew it was our wedding anniversary. And she had ordered a cake. Now, I'm willing to tell you, Miss Tyson did not just eat ordinary food. And she turned our privilege into a celebration of our marriage. On another occasion, I, of course, answered her request that I come to the Cicely Tyson School. And I can tell you, I've been to a lot of schools, but this school in East Orange, New Jersey, named after the queen of acting, as far as I'm concerned, was such a special place because she cared about those little black girls and boys. And you know, we talk so much about her exceptional skill as an actress, but she was an activist. And she did more than most of us know in the interest of making justice come about. Yes, she received the highest honor that a civilian can receive. And Lord have mercy, by President Barack Obama putting that medal on her. And so, Brother Roland, let me end by saying, I've been comforting myself today. And I've been doing so by remembering an African proverb. That proverb says, as long as a person's name is called, that person never dies. I know I'm going to be calling Miss Tyson's name before I go to glory all the time. And when I go to glory to meet her, I know folk far younger than I will continue to call her name.
Dr. Janetta B. Cole, always a pleasure to have you here. Tell my Alfred brother what's up.
Oh, Roland, you do good work. You know, and a part of that good work is your spirit. It's the way that simply by being Roland Martin, you lift us up. Thank you.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Take care. Love you dearly. Take care. Folks, we reach out to Douglas Wilder, the first African-American elected governor since the Reconstruction period. He sent us this video sharing his thoughts about Cicely Tyson.
Cicely Tyson was a friend, a great humanitarian, and someone we will all miss. She lived not just for herself, but for others, and she sacrificed much along the way to the extent of human rights, rights for minorities, and particularly rights for women. She was there, and she will be missed. I regarded her as a friend, compatriot in many of the struggles that we need to continue to fight, and she left us with the spirit to do just that. We will not forget. God bless
her. Doug Wilder, first black governor elected in America since Reconstruction. Folks, joining us right now is the director, Mario Van Peebles. Mario, glad to have you in Roland Martin Unfiltered. My man.
How you doing, man?
Doing great. Just share with us your reflections, your thoughts about the life and legacy of, as Dr. Cole said, Miss Cicely Tyson.
That's it. You know, it's interesting. We tend to look at birth as a miracle and death as a tragedy. And I posit that the real tragedy would be to be incarnate in this lifetime and not do all that you've come here to do. And brother, Queen Cicely Tyson, she did a lot. She got a lot done. I believe she did what she wanted to do. And I think, if you look at it, I remember I was doing a movie with Cicely and my dad. And I think in some ways my father on the silver screen represented the Black Power movement. When he did Sweetback in 1971, that was the first time we saw an empowered black man that way. But I think Cicely, with her elegance and her almost like a royalty to her, and her quiet, strong demeanor, represented the civil rights movement. So, before we saw women like Michelle Obama in person in the White House and obviously Sister Kamala, we saw women like Cicely on the screen. And when we grow up, we want to be the success we see. And I think that, we saw someone like Cicely, even when she was playing a character that didn't have a lot of economic clout, didn't have a lot of political power, even when she was playing someone that was just simple, like living a simple life, like the woman in Sounder that she played in Sounder, there was a dignity to her, a power to her. So she played and portrayed the powerless with a sense of power. She played and portrayed people, and particularly think about this, man. If America, and we know, America was built with white male supremacy in mind. Cicely was neither white nor male, and she got it done. Every time I saw her, there was a nobility to her, and she could laugh and joke and do the dozens. She would clown you on the set. And she was always curious. She'd ask my dad, why you do that, Melvin? Mario, why you do this? And we'd talk about things and have discussions. So she was active and alive and always thinking and learning.
You come from Black Hollywood royalty. And being around these folks. We just had Richard Roundtree on. We had Glenn Turman on earlier. Your dad, Melvin Van Peebles. You're talking about, you're talking about Miss Cicely Tyson. We think about Ruby Dee and Ossie Davis. We think about
Yes.
Claire Belafonte.
Yes.
For you as a director, as an actor, as somebody who, again, grew up seeing these people, you put it, Bill Cosby, all these different people. Speak to that generation, that collection, Dick Gregory as well. I mean, just seeing these people as a child and growing up as an adult, and seeing them in a way that many of us never really have, just simply never have.
Yeah, brother, and I'd have to add to that, brother Muhammad Ali as well.
Yeah,
I saw him and as a kid. And then I saw him again when I was playing Malcolm in the movie Ali. And of course, Ali was on the set. And in fact, Ali gave me the idea to do the film I did on my dad, Badass. He said, if you can make a film about the first Black Power athlete, arguably the first overt Black Power athlete, other than, of course, the great Jack Johnson, could you make a film about the first overt Black Power filmmaker that way? And he gave me that idea to do that. They always inspired me. Cicely, Miss Cicely Tyson, and she would make me call her Cicely, I would go to Miss Tyson, of course, would challenge you, ask you questions. And I think in a way, it's like I've said this the other day in an interview, I was thinking about something Mother Teresa did in that she wouldn't per se attach her name to an anti-war rally, but she would join a pro-peace rally. And if you think about Cicely, she would always attach herself to something on the positive side of the equation. And I think that, when you look at how she navigated her career and played these roles, you have to understand that what we do, Roland, is not just working with camera or lighting or script, it's working with people. And she had hella people skills. She could get things done. I remember Andrew Young said to me once, he said, Mario, you'd be amazed at all you can accomplish if you're not worried about taking the credit. And there was a lot of times where I saw Cicely just handle something with silence and look, and people would back up and take a different route. And she would almost like just with her eyes negotiate and make it something different. So she played these all the characters I can think of. And we did Mama's Flores Family together. My dad, when I first met her, my dad had written a script called Old Sweet Song, and I was a kid. The first time that he was not the director on that project, he was the writer. But all these projects she played with this heart, and she had a quality that took us in. If you don't, sometimes we got a lot of movies now with visual effects and superhero stuff. But I think something that Cicely brought was she understood that if you don't care about the protagonist, if you don't care about who's running and kicking and jumping, then you don't care. You don't emotionally get on the train. She took us in. I've been lucky enough because, as a kid growing up on my dad's set, to meet folks like Cicely, to meet when my dad did Sophisticated Gents. Man, we had everybody in that. So I was lucky enough to grow up on the set and know that all these folks that you just mentioned were bilingual. They had a language you could talk, just play with them, talk with them just that way, and they had a work language, and you had to know the difference. You had to know when it was time to hop to and yes sir, no sir, and come early and leave late, and time to listen. Talk less, listen more. So I was always happy to do that. And I'm always happy to be learning, and that's one thing I think with Miss Tyson is that she would ask questions and I would see her learning. Rarely do you see someone, we look at people that are ahead of us and we go, they must know everything. But I saw marked differences in how she approached things when I first met her than the later in life. And she kept on learning, and always with this grace and this elegance. And I think that is part of how you stay young, is that she was a student of life as well. She was curious about humanity. You felt like if Cicely was there and something jumped off in a room, she would see it, and you could look across the room and you knew she got the joke.
Indeed, a great woman. Mario Van Peebles, we appreciate you sharing your reflections. Tell your dad what's up.
I will, brother. Thank you.
My brother, thanks a lot.
Yeah, man.
Folks, let's go across the pond to London, where actress Edwina Findlay. Let me know when we have her, please. Let's go to, first of all, Edwina is in London. She's an early morning call. Get her on ASAP, please. But right now, let's talk to civil rights attorney Ben Crump. Ben, share with us your thoughts and reflections on Cicely Tyson.
Roland, I'm here with my mother, and she was just talking to me about the autobiography of Jane Pittman. And I think about all these roles that literally covered decades. I remember Bustin' Loose with Richard Pryor. But then for my little nephews and cousins, they remember Idlewild with, Outcast, where she had that appearance in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife, Roland, she's talking about How to Get Away with Murder. Cicely Tyson playing that seminal role in this contemporary show. So Roland Martin, you've been the voice of the people. It's real deep when I think about all my friends who are young women and just the best we have to offer, like Joteka Edie and Monique Presley and Kamala Harris. I am so thankful that they have a role model to pattern themselves after, like a Cicely Tyson who had conviction and said that she would not play any roles that stereotyped Black women. She would not demean herself to make others comfortable. And so I just pray that all our sisters who are young, gifted, and Black will follow the example of this shero that we know as Cicely Tyson.
Ben Crump, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Tell your mama say hello.
I will, Roland. God bless you, brother.
Thanks a bunch. Let's now go to London, where actress Edwina Findlay is. How you doing?
Hello. How are you, Roland?
Always great to see you. I know you have an early morning call there. Just share your thoughts about Cicely Tyson.
Yes. Well, it's amazing because when I was a little kid, the very first thing that I saw was Roots. And I was taught by my family to honor generational legacy. And so that's what she really represented for me as a child. But when I became an actress, I was living with Viola Davis for a while and her beautiful husband, Julius Tennant. And one day she said to me, she said, there's a movie that you must see. And she went in her room and she got a DVD and handed it to me. And it was the autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman. And she said, this me to become an actress when I was a little girl. And you should watch this too. And when I saw it, I was so moved. And of course, I just watched it over and over and over again, because here's this dark, beautiful, chocolate woman actress that was bringing such truth and that was willing to set her vanity aside for the purpose of telling the truth of the character. And I said, yes, yes, I want to know more about her. And it went from becoming Viola's icon to my icon. And now that I've matriculated through the industry, I've had a variety of experiences with Miss Tyson, from spending time with her in her dressing room after a trip to Bountiful, which was one of the most beautiful performances I've ever seen. I cried and cried and cried the whole time, and then afterward was able to just collapse, practically in her lap in her dressing room. And then with Queen Alfre Woodard, she assembles all the beautiful Black actresses together for Oscar Sisters every February. I'll miss, unfortunately, this year because I'm here filming in London, but that was the first time I met Cicely Tyson. Was at Queen Alfre's dinner, and just the way in which they have, and when I say they, I mean Queen Cicely and so many of the Black actresses across generations that have come together in her legacy, right? She has been our trailblazer, and she has carried the way for so many of us. And so now, as someone that is matriculating as a young actress in Hollywood and matriculating through and having these incredible women to rely on, and our matriarch now no longer being with us, is a major loss. It's a major loss for all of us. And yet she gave so much before leaving this earth to Black actresses that it still feels like we have a piece of her with us. And there's a quote that she gave in her book, Just As I Am. She says she wants to be recalled as one who squared my shoulders in service of Black women, as one who made us walk taller and envision greater for ourselves. And that's exactly what she did. And one of my last memories of her was at Tyler Perry's grand studio opening. And of course, we dedicated a huge soundstage directly to Cicely Tyson, which I've had the privilege now of working on Cicely's soundstage. And Tyler texted me this morning a beautiful video tribute to her. And I couldn't help but think of how amazing God is, because he'll elevate one, allow them to blaze the trail, and then elevate the younger and let them turn around and bless the elder. And I feel like that's what's happened with Cicely. She's been blessed by the youngers, by Viola, by Tyler, by Ava, by Bishop Jakes, those who are generation down, but who saw her and were not willing to allow her memory and her legacy to fade with mainstream Hollywood. Because, at a point, mainstream Hollywood says, okay, thank you for your service, and moves on. But she wasn't willing. She wasn't ready to be dismissed into the history books at age 75, 80, 85. She's been working all the way up until now. And so what a blessing that she has been able to continue working, largely because of our community, because the Black community has rallied around her and said, this is our icon. And as long as she's willing, ready, and able, we are going to give her space and place to be her fabulous, beautiful, talented self. And we're the ones that are reaping the reward of that.
Edwina Fentley, I certainly appreciate it. Thanks a bunch.
Mwah. Love you, Roland.
Take care. Love you as well. Folks, Paulette Walker, former international president for Delta Sigma Theta, Cicely Tyson was a member of Delta Sigma Theta, sent me this video last night of Cicely Tyson being honored by the National Council of Negro Women. And this is her reciting, of course, That favorite poem. Listen to this.
And who is he that breathed that comforting melodic sigh? Nobody knows the trouble I see. What merely living clod, what captive thing could up toward God through all its darkness grow and find within its deadened heart to sing these songs of sorrow, love, faith, hope? How did it catch that subtle undertone? That note in music heard, not with the ears. How sound the elusive reed so seldom blown, which stirs the soul or melts the heart to tears. There is a wide, wide wonder in it all. That from degraded rest and servile toil, the fiery spirit of the seer should call these simple children from the sun and soil. Oh, black slave singers, gone, forgot, unfamed. You alone, of those who sung untaught, unknown, unnamed, have stretched out upward, seeking the divine. I first came to know Dr. Dorothy Height.
So we appreciate Paulette Walker sharing that video here. Folks, again, so many people on social media sharing their thoughts. Let's show some of those right now. This is a post from President Barack Obama. He said, in her extraordinary career, Cicely Tyson was one of the rare award-winning actors whose work on the screen was surpassed only by what she was able to accomplish off of it. She had a heart unlike any other, and for 96 years, she left a mark on the world that few will ever match. All right, next up, please. Common posted, I'm so sad to hear the news that trailblazing artist and cultural icon Cicely Tyson has passed away today. While she may be gone, her work and life will continue to inspire millions for years to come. God bless. This here is Bernice King posting a photo there of Cicely Tyson with Rosa Parks and her mom, Coretta Scott King. Michelle Obama had her own post. What struck me every time I spent time with Cicely Tyson was not necessarily her star power, though that was evident enough. It was her humanity. Just by walking into a room, she had this way of elevating everyone around her. Jennifer Lewis, I always looked up to this champion. Her performance in Sounder lives with me every day. Hashtag all hail the queen, Cicely Tyson. Laverne Cox, to have gotten to be in the same room as you multiple times, it is truly to have been in the presence of greatness. There are no words, just all the feelings you've evoked in us all and the indescribable blueprint legacy you leave for us all. Thank you. Rest in power. As we said, we had Congresswoman Maxine Waters on the show. She posted this, so sad to hear my friends. Cicely Tyson has passed, one of the most profound, talented, and celebrated actors in the industry. She was a serious actor, beautiful and spiritual woman who had unlocked the key to longevity in the way she lived her life. Forever all my love and respect. And that photo there is with, of course, Dionne Warwick, Maxine Waters, Janetta B. Cole, Dr. Maya Angelou, Cicely Tyson, as well as Alexis Herman. That is one hell of a photo, folks. Howard University President Wayne Frederick, I am deeply saddened to hear of the loss of Miss Cicely Tyson, an iconic actress and role model. Her award-winning body of work is filled with strong black characters that helped many young women see themselves in a new and relatable way. We will cherish her memory forever. And, of course, the photos there of her being honored by them as well. That is amazing there. Shonda Rhimes, she was an extraordinary person, and this is an extraordinary loss. She had so much to teach, and I still have so much to learn. I'm grateful for every moment. Her power and grace will be with us forever. Tamron Hall, we, of course, showed you the video yesterday of Tamron presenting the award to Cicely Tyson. RIP to the great Cicely Tyson. We were honored to have her join us last year. Thank you for your iconic and trailblazing roles. Maria Osmond, another great one lost. Cicely Tyson had a heart of gold and left such a legacy in entertainment and beyond. We will remember you always. Shirley Eiffel, when the great Cicely Tyson walked out to accept the NAACP LDF National Equal Justice Award for her fellow legend Harry Belafonte at our annual dinner in 2019, the entire room rose in reverence. We're going to read some more of those in just a moment, folks. We showed through, of course, the Tyler Perry one a little bit earlier. Right now, I want to go to back to our Lions. Kim Whitley, the comedian, joins us right now. Kim, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Always great to see you. Just share with us your thoughts and reflections on the icon, the legend, the queen, now ancestor, Cicely Tyson.
Well, I love that you're doing this. First of all, let me say thank you because I don't, I was looking on the news and looking places and just like, to me, like Princess Diana, you would think with Cicely Tyson, it would be everywhere. I learned so much listening to you about her. I'm glad that I'm here because you reminded me. I was like, I know I hung with Cicely Tyson somewhere. And I was telling people, no, I didn't. Yes, I was at Barack Obama's inauguration with Cicely Tyson. We sat in the same row. It was me and her, Forrest Whitaker, his wife, and Debbie Allen and Norm Nixon. And we all were walking. We didn't know where we were going. And I remember Cicely, she was walking with him. And she was walking. And it was freezing out there.
Oh,
and
it was cold.
It was cold. You remember.
Oh, yes, it was cold.
It was cold. And you remember it was kind of confusing when it let everyone out. And she said, I got to use the bathroom. And so, it's the queen. So we're all trying to find the bathroom, walking, and they let us in this restaurant. And because we had Miss Tyson with us, I remember they took us through the kitchen in the back, and she had on this long mink coat, and we all followed her to the back, and she was fussing and cold, and then we all sat out in the lobby of this small boutique hotel and laughed and had a good time. Now, I wasn't supposed to be with them. I snuck in. She kept looking at me like, where you come from? So I would say that was a very fond memory. And I just remembered it listening to you. And I was like, yes. And I'm going to pull that picture out because you said that I'm going to have to post that.
Yes, you got to.
Yes. I'm like, what am I thinking? And it's so funny is when you're fearful of people who are elevated so high. I remember I was afraid to speak to her, to be in her way. I was like, that's Cicely Tyson.
Hi, that's your Sarah.
See, still just it was Cicely Tyson. And I just remember being very, don't want to bother her. Right, that's what I should have been like. Hey, Sarah. But I always think a very good friend of mine, I want her to play the autobiography of Cicely Tyson, Kimberly Elise. Every time I see Kimberly, I think of Cicely Tyson. She's like the young Cicely Tyson to me. I remember seeing Cicely Tyson in the greatest thing for me was the autobiography of Jane Pittman. Let me tell you something. I think that's when in my mind I said, I want to be an actress. I was a little tot, but I remember the scene when she walked to that water fountain. To this day, except maybe Viola Davis, and there's probably some others, but have I seen an actress take that moment to sip some water out of a water fountain that had been deemed for whites only? And she's playing Jane Pittman, but for an actress to take that moment and really, you just felt it. Like I felt that I was there. I felt that I was in the civil rights movement. I felt like it was just so powerful. And I remember that's when I was like, who is this woman? And it was just fascinating how they aged her. And for her not to do any roles like I've done, I'll play a prostitute in a minute. She wouldn't play a prostitute. She wouldn't play a drug addict. I'm playing all that. That she's a remarkable woman, an actress. And I was truly hurt when I found out that she had passed. And I hope, that it was peaceful, that for a queen such as she is, that the doors of heaven opened up and there were angels singing, doves flying, and streets of gold, because that's what she deserves.
Well, we'll leave it right there. Kim Whitley, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Folks, comedian Jonathan Slocum is watching our tribute, and I showed you that video earlier for the National Congress of Council of Negro Women, and Jonathan was there on the stage, and then he cracked a joke about Cicely Tyson. Watch this.
Miss Tyson, you look so refreshing, Miss Tyson. Just give it a big round of applause for Cicely Tyson. So cute. I want to know if you want to have a cup of coffee with me tomorrow. No?
Jonathan asked her for a cup of coffee. She was like, no, I ain't going to have no coffee with you. I ain't going to have no coffee with you. Folks, she did a number, of course, look, a lot of people interviewed her. She of course, she was very, very, very seen. Wasn't one who was always hitting. And so what she decided, of course, when she was doing that play, that Broadway play, everybody keeps talking about. My next guest actually had a chance to sit down with her. Show some of the video first, and then we'll chat with Jamal Finkley. If y'all can go ahead and play that, please.
And finding an issue to address. Our world is fraught with them. And so whatever strikes me at a given moment in time is what I will lend myself to.
Oh, that's amazing. Now you seem to have a unique relationship with Tyler Perry. I mean, y'all worked in some fashion on 5 movies together. Mm-hmm. How has your relationship grown with him, and how have you seen him grown from when you first met him to now, today?
Unbelievable. I have a piece of sculpture. It's from Zimbabwe. And I bought it because it reminded me so much of him. And it is, I call it the emerging one, because it is the being of a man into a boy coming out of the stone. And that's what I've seen him do from the moment I met him. And every year, he moves a little further out of that stone, okay? And I don't know if I will live to see him become a full statue, but I watch it happen every year.
Let me rewind back, if I may, 40 years to be exact. Mm-hmm. 1972, you're up for Best Actress for Sounder. Diana Ross is up for Lady Singing to Paul Winfield.
Yes.
And
God rest his soul.
And yeah, late great Paul Winfield. Mm-hmm. And in the movies up for Best Picture. And now 40 years, you have Tyler Perry, the mm-hmm. highest grossing man in mm-hmm. Hollywood, and mm-hmm. doing all these great pictures, and a black president. When you was at that platform, it seemed like it was a time where you could see like greater things happening for mm-hmm. us as a race. Did you foresee things like this that's happening today for us?
Well, I never thought in my time I would live to see a black president in the White House. I never did think that. I hoped that things for us in the business would improve. I will never, ever I just have to find the word. Never dreamed that there would be a black movie industry and that I would have a sound studio named for me in a black movie industry. I never dreamed that that was possible.
Wow.
And Tyler Perry has done that.
Wow.
And I will be eternally grateful to him for what he did, not just for me, but for all people, not just for black people, but for all people. Because in so doing, he has given them hopefully a better understanding of who we are, what we are, and why we are on this universe.
Wow. Well, it's always an honor. I hope to see you in many more pictures and whatever you do. I think you should be honored every day. It's a lifetime achievement.
I am, by the right one.
By the right one. That's
Yes.
important. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so
everybody.
much. And thank you for the flowers.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate that
You're
so
very
much.
deserving.
Jamal, you brought those flowers, huh?
I bought those flowers, and I mean, people. I know this is about Cicely, but people have all kind of opinions about Tyler Perry. But just like me giving her those flowers, I feel like Tyler Perry gave her those flowers while she was alive too, and I appreciate him naming that stage after her, and just putting her in all these other movies later in her career, and just appreciating who she is, because I mean, she is like our national treasure, and I think everybody appreciated her while she was here. It's not one of those cases where she becomes the greatest after she died. Like, everybody loved her like a queen while she was here, and I couldn't think of nothing to do. But when they said, "Hey, I can interview Cicely Tyson today," I was like, "Oh, I got to go get some flowers." I never did that for anybody, since then or before then, and I've interviewed thousands of people by now, and it was something about just having that moment to sit down across from her. It was like, I got to give you these flowers because you mean so much to everybody that watches what I do, not just me, but everybody. And I still just, I'm glad I had that opportunity, and I'm glad I was able to talk to her and hug her and take a picture with her and just have these memories that I could tell my kids about this amalgamation of so many things. She's a queen. She's a thespian. She's a icon. I don't know. I mean, I've been I've been emotional since she passed. I mean, she lived a great life. She lived so many years. I'm not totally shocked. I mean, I'm glad she lived all those years, but it's just emotional just to know that she's like that. I had that opportunity. She's now gone.
Look, what I thought about when she was being honored with the honorary Oscar, I was like, y'all, she was 93 when she got it. Like, what the hell took them so damn long? Same thing. When Ruby Dee was nominated for an Oscar, I mean, Ruby Dee should have been given an honorary Oscar as well. I just don't believe that you got to wait till somebody gets to be 90 years old before you decide to say, hey, you know what?
Yeah.
Let's honor them.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think having a soundstage, a studio named after you, is bigger than an honorary Oscar. I know we put all that on an Oscar, but Tyler Perry naming that stage after was huge.
Look, it reminds me of when Tim Reed and Daphne Maxwell Reed opened their first studio in Virginia. Maya Angelou, Tim and Daphne told me this story. Maya Angelou, she came there. And they were just in a hurry to show her around, and she said, no. She sat down in the chair. And she just sat in the chair, and they said, Ma, you okay? I mean, we want to show you the suit. She said, no. She said, I just want to sit right here in a black-owned studio. She said, just give me a moment. I just want to sit in a black-owned studio.
Yeah. Wow.
You cover all kinds of stuff in Hollywood. Are you surprised at the lack of attention her passing is getting? I mean, I'm looking at stuff, but I'm just as you're out there, what are you seeing, just in terms of the trades and stuff like that?
I mean, I could spend time, talking about that. But what I'm very proud of is what you're doing. I'm so proud of what you're doing and taking this time to do this and honor and have all these people have an opportunity to speak on her, let their emotions out. What you're doing is greater than what Variety or whatever other trade could be doing anyway. And I think, they should be, they should be like, all of their headlines should be about Cicely Tyson right now, as if it was Humphrey Bogart or whoever else that they would talk about. But I'm proud of what you're doing. I'm looking at all the comments in the chats, and people are like recognizing how essential you are to our culture and to like being able to represent and uplift us and hold us up and shine that light on us. So yeah, they're always going to be lacking, and they're always going to miss the boat on things. But if we always have people like you to be here to step up and fill in for us, I mean that's what we need. And I'm proud. I want to really thank you for this opportunity for me to speak on Sicily, and then have everybody else here to have this opportunity also.
Well, I raised that point because, I mean, you've been out there covering these movie junkets on the red carpets as well. We've talked about how it's difficult when you're in black media, even to get a lot of black folks to stop and talk to you as well. And I think and the reason I posed the question, because it reinforces what we do and why we do it. It reinforces the whole point of, and I've been sitting here asking people, I'm sitting here going, okay, there's BET, there's TV One, there's Aspire, there's BET Her, there's Clio TV, there's, all of these, there's Bounce, there's OWN, there's Revolt, there's Afro, these networks, and I'm sitting here going, okay, where are the tributes? Where are the specials? That's one of the reasons, look, luckily I had it, luckily, before I, left TV One, I had that video from the MLK Memorial, as opposed to being stuck in a vault somewhere and no one even knowing where in the hell to find it. I mean, this is the moment. Look, there are tons of people who didn't even know TV One. We even broadcast that MLK Memorial to hear Cicely Tyson talk about Dr. King and what he meant. I mean, to me, that's why what we do matters, and why I keep saying to our people, we got to make sure we support it, because, look, Ebony magazine is like Lazarus. It just got out of bankruptcy, but they're not there. Essence has laid off, nearly all of their employees, and they've had a tribute there as well. But we've always got to make sure that we are controlling our narrative, because if we're waiting on them, you ain't gonna see tributes to our greats.
Yeah. They'll forget about us. They'll sweep us under the rug, and if we're not telling our story, we are the scribes, we are the griots, we are the storytellers for the future. And these people are able to look back at these videos that you own, not that some other company owns and could take away, and they'll be able to know how great Cicely Tyson is, because black media does exist. No matter how much we struggle, we've been able to overcome those struggles and last all these years. And yeah, it's important that we get that support, but it's important that we have people that's willing to fight through all the hurdles, to jump over all these hurdles like you have, and continue to fight even when the odds are against us, for the corporate money and whatever else that other media agencies get to survive. We figure out a way. But if we don't get the support of our people, I hope people are like, chiming in, that's filling this tribute and donating, so that you could continue to do this. I mean, if we don't get that support, it is difficult. But yeah, I'm not surprised by Hollywood's lack of attention for Cicely Tyson. But I am enamored by all the love that she's getting from online, and all of the photos, and it's all the actors that's touched her, whether it was a Brescia Webb or Journey Smollett or Blair Underwood, or all the people that you've had on here that's spoken so highly of her. I'm not surprised by that, because she was easy to love and easy to know that you're in the presence of royalty. And I'll miss her presence, but at least she's left so many titles for us to watch. I mean, I spent some of today watching Sounder. I spent some of the day watching The Naked City. She's just in one episode. I had to rewatch that and just watch some of her great works, just to see, what she brought to the screen, what she brought to the art. And as a critic, I've always loved Cicely Tyson. I thought that she was, everything that Viola wants to be is what Cicely laid out, and then what all these other actors are aiming for is she was there first doing it, and she was the example. She's like the Jordan, like people could try to do Kobe, and everybody could try to do Jordan moves after Jordan was there, but it was because Cicely like put that on screen first, that people could see what a great thespian could be. And I'm proud to have had that moment, and I'm sure you're proud to have had the moments you've had with her also.
Yes, indeed. Jamal Finkley, I appreciate it, man. Black Tree TV, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right, folks. This here is Cicely Tyson with a rendition, reading Ain't I a Woman?
Well, children, where there's so much racket, there must be something out of kilter. I think between the women of the North and the Negroes of the South, all thinking about rights, you white men gonna be in a fix pretty soon. What was all this talking about? This man over there, yes, you. He said women's have to be helped into carriages, lifted over ditches, and to have the best place everywhere. Well, nobody ever helped me in no carriage, over no mud puddles, or gives me any best place, and ain't I a woman? Look at me. Look at my arms. I done plowed and planted and gathered into barns, and no man could head me. And ain't I a woman? Then they talk about this thing in the head, but I'm not going there yet, because I want to tell you that I done birthed 13 children and saw them most all sold out to slavery. And when I cried out with a mother's grief, none but Jesus heard me, and ain't that a woman? Then they talks about this thing in the head. What's that they call it? They call it intellect. Intellect, that's it, sugar. What's that got to do with women's rights or Negroes' rights? If my cup don't hold but a pint and yourn hold a quart, wouldn't you be mean not to let me have my little half a pint? Huh? Then, this man in the black, yes, yes, he says, women's can't have as much rights as men's because Christ wasn't a woman. Well, where your Christ come from? Where your Christ come from? From God and a woman. Man didn't have nothing to do with it. Now, if the first woman God ever made was able to take this world and turn it upside down, all these women's hair together ought to be able to get it back and turn it right side up again. And now they's asking to do it. You men better let them. That's all I have to say. Much obliged for you listening to me. Thank you very much.
Joining us now is actress Vanessa Bell Kellaway. Vanessa!
Hi, how are you?
How you doing? Just share with us your thoughts about Cicely Tyson.
Well, you know, she was the diva dom of all diva doms, honey. We were blessed to have her on this planet and the contribution she made. But I heard an interview today, and I don't know if it's the last interview she did, but she was supposed to be on, the talk shows this morning promoting her book. And thank God that the Kelly and Ryan show, they taped her earlier this week. And they still showed it. I don't know if a lot of people saw it, but it was really a great interview. And what I loved about it is a story she told of Sounder, how she went and she asked them for the part, and they told her, no, you're too pretty, you're too this. And then they moved on to another actress. And the other actress turned it down because the money wasn't right. And her manager came back and said, well, you know, they moved on, but the other actress turned it down. She said, of course she did, because it's not her part, it's mine. She said she knew that was her part. And she was working on the part, even though she didn't have the part, because she knew somehow it was going to come back to her. And it did, as we do know. And we do know that she was nominated for Academy Award for that. And the actress happened to be her friend that turned down the part because the money wasn't too good. And what I liked is her belief in the industry and in acting, because it's a belief that I share. So it was nice to know that she shared, you know, something that I believed in. I always tell people I wouldn't have a resume if I only did jobs for money, because sometimes you do the job because it speaks to you. It's something you need to be a part of. It's just a good, you know, vehicle or a good group of people you're working with, or a good part. And she said she didn't care about the money. It was the part she wanted. And so the person who turned the movie down, as we now know, you know, she got nominated for Academy Award. And I just was very happy to hear that story, because it just reinforced to me that when you know something's yours and you envision, she saw herself sitting in the front row. She said she would watch the Academy Awards, but she said to herself, one day she was going to be in that front seat in the front row. And it just kind of re-solidified to me the strength and the power. And when you envision yourself somewhere, that's where you probably will end up, because that's where you should be. And also just knowing that something is yours. And even when they tell you no, if you really believe it, hang in there. And I love that story today, because it really spoke to me and some of my beliefs, especially doing parts that I know is a place I need to be, even though the money may not be right sometimes. It's like, I'm taking it anyway, because it's not the money, it's the part. So I was so happy that they were able to air that this morning, and I hope a lot of people saw it, because it was a beautiful interview.
Also, I think when we talk about how she operated, what she thought about, what her creed was, the word dignity is the one that jumps out.
Yeah, she was very dignified, very classy, you know. I could never see her like, not that these, you know, when she was a younger woman, a young actress, some of the roles that we have available to us now, they weren't telling those stories, but I could never see her being the stripper in the club like some of these movies now. She would have never taken that part. That just wasn't her, you know. And she said that and this took a lot of strength. She said she turned down some roles. And as we know, back in the day, you know, you didn't win a whole lot of roles to even take. So the thought of turning down stuff, but she felt that it wasn't the right roles for her as a Black woman, displaying us in a good light. And, you know, sometimes people take jobs because they need the money, you know, and you can't fault people for that. But she had enough strength and enough belief in who she was. And even back then, when roles were sparse, she turned down something she didn't think was right because of what it said about our people. So I thought that was very brave as well.
All right, Vanessa Bell Calloway, it's always great to have you here. I see you rocking your pink and green hat.
Ski Fi, brother. You know Ski Fi. Come on now.
Yeah, I see you. All right, then. Vanessa, thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Yes, God bless us all. Be safe, everybody.
Thank you
Take
very
care.
much. All right. Folks, as I say, look, when we said she was up until the end, like literally, Bakari Sellers posted his podcast. He interviewed her on Monday. Bevy Smith had an interview with her on Monday as well. The folks at Inside Edition just posted this, one of her last interviews.
Actress Cicely Tyson, who passed away at the age of 96. Ms. Tyson once said, "I am not a quitter. I will fight until I drop." And she lived up to her words, granting a string of interviews right up until her final days. Les Trent has details.
The legendary actress Cicely Tyson talked with Kelly and Ryan on Wednesday. The next day, she died at age 96.
Welcome to the show, Miss Tyson.
Cicely was on a media blitz all week long promoting her just-released autobiography, Just As I Am. And the interviews are leaving the nation with a moving tribute to her.
Think about that, folks. I mean, again, here she is. She's doing these interviews Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, passes on Thursday. She said point blank she was never going to retire. and she never did. If you also want to see a great interview, just roll the video here. Gayle King sat down with her, and they had a chance to talk as well. And so I think you ought to take a look at that. Go online. You can see that video as well. Kerry Washington, of course, she also saluted her. In fact, before I go to that, I want to go to the Ava DuVernay tweet. This is what Ava posted. Your hugs, I'll remember how your petite arms wrapped around me like mighty branches of a sunlit tree, strong and warm. Your love, I'll remember. You loved me for some reason and told me often, thank you, Your Majesty, and bless you as you journey ahead until we meet again. And these are some of the photos. Folks, get the video ready of Kerry Washington when Cicely Tyson was honored by the Kennedy Center. This is another one of the photos that Ava DuVernay shared with her and Cicely Tyson. This photo right here, and then, of course, the last photo here with her with Cicely Tyson. As I said, all of these actresses, so many of them have been actresses and directors, and so many others have been talking about the great Cicely Tyson. And what she meant. This was a photo that Viola Davis posted today of her and Cicely Tyson as well. And so you see the smile on her face, that particular photo there. And so again, so many. This was another photo that she posted. This was the tweet. I'm devastated. My heart is just broken. I love you so much. You were everything to me. You made me feel loved and seen and valued in a world where there is still a cloak of invisibility for us dark chocolate girls. This is the photo that she posted of her and Cicely Tyson, obviously on the set of How to Get Away with Murder. I want to read the rest of what Viola Davis actually posted. I did reach out to her and her husband, Julius Tennant. And like I said, there were a number of people who we reached out to get their thoughts. But so many still are stricken by the news of her passing. That they declined. Sam Jackson, his wife LaTanya, Paulette Washington, of course, the actress married to Denzel Washington. This is what Viola Davis said. I'm devastated. My heart is just broken. I love you so much. You were everything to me. You made me feel loved and seen and valued in a world where there is still a cloak of invisibility for us dark chocolate girls. You gave me permission to dream because it was only in my dreams that I could see the possibilities in myself. I'm not ready for you to be my angel yet, but I also understand that it's only when the last person who has a memory of you dies that you will truly be dead. In that case, you will be immortal. Thank you for shifting my life. Thank you for the long talks. Thank you for loving me. Rest well. That was Viola Davis, recognizing, of course, recognizing Cicely Tyson. Here's a video here she shared. Go and pull the audio. We talked about Maxwell yesterday. This is when Maxwell was saluting Cicely Tyson. That was a great night with the National Cares Mentoring Project. Folks, let me know when my next guest is there, please. Thank you very much. Harriet Cole, of course. Harriet has worked for a number of magazines. She, of course, is a columnist as well. Harriet, share your thoughts about how you doing?
Oh, so good to be with you, Roland. What a wonderful broadcast. I'm enjoying all the memories and stories. It's really special that you're doing this. Thank you.
Certainly appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Just share with us what Cicely Tyson meant to the world, but specifically Black women.
Oh, man. The word indomitable is what comes to mind when I think about her. She was just such a powerful woman who carried that power in a small body, but with such presence, such clarity of self. I first met her when I was working at Essence Magazine many moons ago. But interesting, Roland, I have some good stories that maybe some people haven't heard so far. Just to give you a sense of the sassy Cicely Tyson. So I was producing a fashion show in Atlanta at the Macy's in Atlanta for a group of Black women, working with a wonderful woman, Jean Murphy, down there. And I'm producing the show, I'm commentating the show, and we learned Cicely Tyson is going to be in the show. And we're like, the Grande Dame is going to be in a fashion show here at Macy's. It was very exciting. Hundreds of women were crowded into this little area in Macy's. And we learned just before the show was to begin that Cicely said, I don't take photographs. Nobody can take photographs of me. So can you imagine, Roland, that she is going to be in a fashion show? This is where people take pictures. She says, no pictures. We say, okay, we'll see what we can do. We tell the folks, but it's Cicely Tyson. She walks out on stage as regal as ever, stands in front, puts her hands in front of her face and says, no pictures. And she says, well, I'm going to give you 3 seconds and you get all the pictures that you can in 3 seconds. And she holds her hands like this. She pulls her hands away and basically she vogues for 3 seconds, giving folks shots, and then covers her face, turns around and struts off the stage. It was fabulous. She was fierce. And so that was so much fun. And then contrast that to her. She walked many runways. Her wonderful friend, couture fashion designer, B. Michael, who used her as a muse. Imagine a woman in her 80s and then 90s as your fashion muse. He dressed her and she walked many of his runways. And we all delighted in seeing this woman who defied age. You know how it is always said, Black don't crack, right? You never know how old a Black woman is. Well, Cicely Tyson embodied that up until the last day. Up until the last day, Roland. So she would come out on the runway during New York Fashion Week and glide down, again, this tiny little bit, as regal as she could be, seeming as if she was 7 feet tall. It was just majesty at its best, and this beautiful chocolate woman, as Susan Taylor would call her, just proving to us that our beauty exists in every form.
Harriet Cole, we surely appreciate it. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Folks, this is the video when Cicely Tyson was waiting to hear whether she was going to win the Oscar. In this video, it's interesting. She predicts that it's Liza Minnelli, and so just watch her. Bottom left-hand corner. Watch this.
Winner is. Hope they haven't got a cause. Liza Minnelli. Winner is. Hope they haven't got a cause. Liza Minnelli.
So she turns to the person next to her and says, Liza Minnelli. And the guy behind her reaches and he's thinking it's her. Then when they call her name, she goes, yep. But you see there, it was 2 Black women nominated that year, Diana Ross and, of course, Cicely Tyson. So many people have been, again, sharing their tributes. This was from the Kennedy Center honors when Cicely Tyson was recognized.
Now to celebrate your Kennedy Center honor, please welcome CeCe Winans, Terrence Blanchard, and the Cicely Tyson Community School of Performing and Fine Arts Choir, performing Blessed Assurance.
Blessed assurance, Jesus is mine. Oh, what a foretaste of glory divine, heir of salvation, purchase of God, oh yeah, born of His Spirit.
That was Cicely Winans singing Cicely Tyson's favorite song, Blessed Assurance. Joining us right now, folks, is Earl Gibson. He is the family photographer for the Miles Davis family. Earl shot Cicely Tyson on many occasions. Although the two of them divorced, she still was very much involved in his life until his death, or even after that. Miles, first of all, sorry, Earl, glad to have you here. Just your thoughts and reflections on Cicely Tyson.
Well, I loved her. She was our royalty. She was very much a part of the Miles Davis family and someone you could always count on just to check on you to see how you were doing. That one sort of hit me kind of hard, just knowing that she's gone. And it wasn't until yesterday that the reality of Cicely was 96 years old and had lived a full life and had given us so much. And I think so many things that we'll never forget.
The thing that's interesting here is that you shot all of these photos. Guys, y'all have those, roll those photos, please. And she was, she was always clean. She was always on point. She was always at the top of her game.
Always. That was the one thing about Cicely. And, she was working with, most of the time, she was with B. Michaels, who was a designer in New York and a very good friend to the family, as well as to Cicely. There was never a moment that you knew you were going to see Cicely and that she was not going to be stunning and royal and regal in her appearance and her actions. She was the epitome of what we consider divinity. The woman was just beautiful all the way around.
As we reflect on so much of her, I think a lot of people would be surprised that she was, even though they got divorced, that she was still very involved in Miles Davis's life and with his family.
Yeah, that was always amazing to me as a photographer. I've been shooting for the family since 2004, and there was not a major event, even when we dedicated the Miles Davis Street in his apartment in New York City. Cicely was at every major function that had anything to do with Miles Davis. And it spoke volumes to the character of the woman that she was. She was basically, I think she told us all, she still loved Miles to this day.
When you think about, first of all, Harriet Cole was just on, and she was telling us that Cicely didn't want to be shot at that fashion show, didn't like photographs. Did you ever have any encounters with her where she's like, "Look, now you shooting too much"?
You know what? Yes, I did. We did an event for BET, and we were accompanied with, I believe it was, Mr. Washington, and a few other celebrities. And she had just basically said, "Please stop. You've taken, baby." She said, "Baby, you've taken enough pictures to make me look good. Find one." So there were times that she was just tired of having her picture taken, but she was gracious about it no matter what. She allowed us to get I think we did a ceremony for her where they put her feet and her hands in the sand here in Los Angeles, in the cement. And we took no less than 800 pictures, and she smiled for every one of them. So as with all humans, they have their breaking points. But at any point, and I think because she knew I was part of the family, and although I worked for Getty Images and the Associated Press, she was also always gracious about having her picture taken.
All right, Earl, it's always a pleasure, man. We certainly appreciate you sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you, my brother. Continued success, Roland.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, folks. Cicely Tyson was also recognized by the Television Academy. We showed you the honorary Oscar that she received. Here is, we're not going to play all of it, but here is her speech when she was inducted into the Hall of Fame of the Television Academy.
Every last one of us comes to this industry, to this particular arena of storytelling, because at some point in our lives, we decided to pursue our dreams. Some of those dreams fall by the wayside. Some of those dreams change. And for a fortunate few of us, some of those dreams are fulfilled. And then there is that rarest of souls, that one spark of light, who not only fulfills her dreams, but also fulfills the dreams of generations to follow. That courageous warrior who creates more, demands more, and makes more out of a dream than anyone before her ever dared to imagine possible. See, Miss Cicely Tyson is not like you or me. She isn't just someone who fulfilled her dream. Miss Cicely Tyson herself is a dream fulfilled. She's the daughter of immigrants. Her father came through Ellis Island. She was raised in New York in the center of the cultural explosion that was the Harlem Renaissance. She had a sensible typing job when she was discovered by Ebony magazine as a model. And then, thankfully for all of us, she decided to try her hand at acting. In her unmatched career, that as of this month spans 8 decades, she's a trailblazer of the highest order. Now, I can't possibly name every role she's had or every award she's received, so I'm just going to do some of the highlights. In 1963, she played Jane Foster in the CBS drama East Side, West Side, becoming the very first African-American man or woman to star in a television series, ever. She was also the very first Black woman to win an Emmy as lead actress in a television movie for her amazing work in 1974's The Autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman. And being Cicely, she didn't just win 1 Emmy for that role, she won 2. In 2018, she became the first Black woman to be awarded an honorary Academy Award. These achievements are no accident. Ms. Tyson is known for having impeccable taste and high standards when selecting a role. She chooses only rich characters with a brand of personal integrity that match her own. She waited 30 years to have her turn as Carrie Watts in Horton Foote's The Trip to Bountiful, and for that, she won a Tony Award for Best Actress, as well as an Emmy nomination when she starred in the version that was brought to television. In the words of Viola Davis, Cicely Tyson elevates every one of her moments as Ophelia Harkness on How to Get Away with Murder, with an artistry that cannot be explained or taught. That's very true, but thankfully for all of us, it's an artistry that can be seen and marveled over. Now, Cicely's not only famous for the roles that she inhabits, but also for the roles that she's turned down. She refuses to lend her talent to any character that would degrade not only herself as an actress, but as she says, she also refuses any character that would degrade women of color in general, because that could reverberate into future generations. Now, think what it meant for her to turn down those roles so rarely offered to a Black woman in the 60s, in the 70s, in the 80s. She said no to being stereotyped. And in doing so, Cicely paved a Black road through a thick, unyielding white male forest with nothing on her side but courage and integrity. And now, an army of actresses of color can stroll that road today. Trailblazer. An honorary Oscar, 15 Emmy nominations, 3 Emmys, 1 Tony, a Presidential Medal of Freedom, and she founded the Dance Theater of Harlem on the side. There's simply too much Cicely to distill into a speech. With each turn on the screen, she presents a vision of humanity that is absolutely original and deeply universal. What she does with dialogue is an art. What she does with silence is a masterpiece. What she has done for all of us is a gift. Her dream is our reality. Miss Tyson, Cicely, thank you for going first. Because you are the first, there will be no last. It is my honor of a lifetime to induct you, my idol, my colleague, my friend, my family, into the Television Academy Hall of Fame.
Well, I guess I should speak to my mother first. She was very upset with me because I didn't go to college. But I want to let you know that I'm at an academy now. And I hope I made up for the disappointment. I want to thank God for keeping me here as long as I've been here to go to an academy. Okay. Moments like this render me speechless, I should say. Shonda, I don't know who you were talking about, but I'll accept it. Thank you for those incredible words. Those are the words that kept me going, that made me realize that I had made the right decision about my career. It's interesting to me that I had no idea where it was going, since I knew very little about show business. As children, we were not allowed to go to the movies, so I had no idea what it was that they were talking about. I learned, though. I had an experience while promoting Sounder. It took place in Philadelphia. It was at a coverage for promoting the movie. And one of the journalists stood up and said, "Miss Tyson, I discovered a bit of prejudice in myself while watching the movie Sounder." When I asked what it was, he told me that he could not accept the fact that my son, the oldest one, referred to his father as Daddy. The confusion came about because my son was black, his father was black, and he called him Daddy. The reporter said the confusion and the discovery of his prejudice came about as a result of the fact that he could not understand nor accept the fact that this little black boy was referring to his father, who was black, as Daddy, because that's what his little white sons called him, and he was white. I can't remember that I was able to ingest that without finding it difficult to swallow. I became aware of the fact that there were some issues that I had to address. That was one. And that I would choose my career as my platform. I am extremely grateful that what I refer to as divine guidance led me to this experience and gave me the future of my career. I made up my mind I just could not afford the luxury of being an actress. There were some issues I wanted to address, and as I said, I used my career as my platform. That it would bring me to a moment like this is nothing that I ever fathomed. I just was doing what I felt was important for me to do. I want to say thank you to the Academy and the committee. I wish to extend my gratitude to you for selecting me for this important recognition. I've been getting a lot of awards lately. And I find myself wondering if you all know something that I don't know. And if you do, you better share it with me, okay? Because I will find a way to find out, okay? I have had an incredible career. I am grateful, not the shoulders that I stood on, but the backs that I laid on and stood on, while the women in our families picked the cotton with the babies strapped to their back. I'm grateful for them. I am super grateful that I have been here for 95 years, and I have no idea who this person is. Do you understand that? I find myself looking in the mirror every now and then and saying, Cicely, do you believe this? I don't. But I am grateful to the Heavenly Father, to every single one of you who have held me up over these years. I want you to know that I would not be here if it weren't for each one of you. I am everlastingly grateful. To the inductees that allowed me in their company, I am so grateful to be here with you. God bless you all. Thank you.
Folks, the reason we do this is because when you have folks like the great Cicely Tyson, they deserve it. They have lived amazing lives, had tremendous careers, have touched us in a significant and unique way. This is a photo when we were at the MLK Memorial with Joe Madison and I and Cicely Tyson. That was, of course, from 2011. And when there was a documentary that Danny Glover was in that John Legend actually was one of the producers. This is that photo there of Cicely Tyson and I on stage at Bethel AME Church in Washington, D.C. Y'all go to show it, please. And so that's the, I'll pull it up. This is the, go back. This is the photo here. You should see the photo now. It was always great to see her, always great to chat with her, as she would always gently touch her face and have a kind word to say. She has now gone on to become an ancestor, but we have her work, a tremendous body of work that is still with us. So whether we look at Sounder or the autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman, whether we look at, of course, Idlewild, whether we look at, of course, her in Tyler Perry movies, or, of course, her being in the television show How to Get Away with Murder with Viola Davis. Just a tremendous, tremendous actress and an equally great person. We will certainly miss her, and we thank her for all that she did. Our prayers go out to all of the women, many women, folks, and men as well, but many women across this country and the world who she touched. And so we certainly thank so many of them. Folks, that is it for us here on Roland Martin Unfiltered. We thank all of you for watching as well. Of course, we'll be having the restream of this show as well. And as we did last night, we'll do this here. We're going to end, of course, with our memoriam for the great Cicely Tyson. I'll see you guys on Monday.